Entrepreneurially Thinking is a presentation of BioSTL and CET, Center for Emerging Technologies, with Rare Gem Productions, changing the way you view new ventures, including you on the pathway to success with your business in the St. Louis marketplace and beyond. Here's your hosts, Cheryl and Christy. Now let's get thinking entrepreneurially.
Welcome back to the Entrepreneurially Thinking podcast. Our goal is to expand your entrepreneurial mindset and create pathways for business success in the St. Louis marketplace and beyond. I'm Christy Maxfield.
And I'm Dr. Cheryl Watkins-Moore with the Inclusion Initiative with BioSTL. Hey, Christy girl.
How are you?
We are back.
We are.
Super 7.
Super 7. We're in our 7th season.
Woo!
By the time we finish 8 at the end of the year, we'll have over 100 shows in the can.
Cannot believe it.
We'll have way more than 22,000 downloads and plays. And we're always seeking additional support to augment the generosity of BioSTL and CET, our founding sponsors. So if you want to reach the wonderful listeners that we have,
exactly,
then you should be part of that sponsor community.
22,000.
Yes, and growing. So we hope that you'll join us, and we hope that you'll take time to check out our website, as well as the CET and BioSTL websites to stay up to date on everything that's going on. We continue to remind you that things like Vision in October are coming out there. There's Square One program that's underway. There's, even if you've missed a deadline, there's always something in the pipeline, and Cheryl's out talking to everybody all the time. So you need to stay up on that and get on her newsletter and all sorts of things. So and keep listening and sharing and inviting other folks to be part of the community and the communication and the camaraderie. So you can find us, and your friends can find us, and sponsors can find us wherever they find their favorite podcasts, whether that's iTunes, Spreaker, Facebook, LinkedIn. Just make sure you subscribe.
No matter where you are, we want to be with you.
Exactly.
So how would diversity in executive leadership, or what would that look like?
A lot different than it looks today, where there are more men named John in CEO roles than there are women
Jane
or women of color.
Lakeisha's,
literally
or more
else. Men named John than there are any women in those roles. But anyway, so it looked different.
So, and how can equity in entrepreneurship be established? Where can women find
with intentionality? I'm sorry, I was a little slow on the answer on that one, but.
So where can women find the support, strategies, and synergies to succeed in the workplace? These are all questions, right?
Good questions.
Good questions. When we come back, we're going to be speaking with 2 phenomenal women who've asked these questions throughout their professional lives and careers. And I think we have too.
I believe we have.
Yes. They have united to form an organization and program to provide real and sustainable answers. Yeah, not the crap that most people give you, okay? They strive to break down barriers. Right. They strive to break down barriers, reshape conversations, and make sure women of diverse demographics have the opportunity to learn more, be more, and have more. I love that.
I love
learn more, be more, and have that.
Have more. Generational wealth is the thing that gets me up in the morning. So I'm all about the have more.
And we're not talking about shopping, ladies. It's having more of the wealth pie, right?
All of it. Personal wealth, professional wealth, spiritual wealth, all that.
So we're going to talk to 2 fabulous women, Nicci Roach and Lorie Jackson, founders of Mosaic Ceiling, and they're going to join us after this break. So as we say, stay listening.
BioSTL is a proud founding sponsor of this Entrepreneurially Thinking podcast, and we want you to know all about the great things they are up to. BioSTL Fundamentals is an entrepreneur development program targeted to founders wishing to start a company in the bioscience space, including therapeutic products, diagnostic products, medical devices, animal and crop agriculture products, and research tools. Participants earn resources by achieving specific coaching goals. You can learn more about BioSTL Fundamentals by visiting biostl.org. And for your renewed and continuing support, BioSTL, we say thank you.
My name is Lorie Jackson, and I am with Mosaic Ceiling. And entrepreneurially thinking for me it's a whole chapter, basically. To be more, to have more, and to do more. My goal is to leave a legacy of prosperity and not poverty, as we see in our numbers for women, and especially women of color.
Nicci and Lorie, we are so excited to have you with us here today to talk about Mosaic Ceiling, your personal journeys of entrepreneurship, and really your mission to empower women one ceiling at a time.
I love it. I love it.
So, to give our listeners some context, our understanding is, Mosaic Ceiling is a locally based, Midwest-based 501c3 organization that's building a global community to drive social change for women of color and culture, inclusive to all women. Professional and personal development programming and research efforts in 6 key areas. So we are just excited to learn about those areas, about you, about the work you're doing, and the opportunities you're creating. So thank you for being with us.
Yes.
Good to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Always start from the beginning.
So Mosaic Ceiling. So you're putting lots of different pieces together. When I think mosaic, I think all these different shades and colors and textures and all sorts of wonderful things that come out of pieces that when they stand alone have maybe less impact. And so what pieces are you putting together?
You know what's funny? We're gonna hire you to be to communicate.
Oh, Nicci.
That was so well said. So well said. But the pieces are just many pieces, as you mentioned just a moment ago. I mean, we as women are very complex, very unique, but very special, and we have so much to offer. And oftentimes we don't even realize or recognize or celebrate those differences and those unique pieces, to where we are just showing up with a partial offering of what it is that we have and that we possess. And so Lorie and I found ourselves operating in that space independently, separately, and it was just truly a blessing for us to cross paths and to share that exchange and have that exchange to say, hey, you know what? Me too. I'm having this same issue. I want to bring my whole self to the situation, but yet I'm trying to understand what that even looks like.
Interesting.
And after a couple of times of doing some work together, we said, hey, we don't have all of the answers, but we have access to people who have gone before us and those who are trying to come up behind us. So let's be that liaison in the middle to help.
That connector.
Exactly.
That's cool. So are you guys from St. Louis, or what's your backgrounds? I always like to say, let's start at the beginning.
Yeah, I am a native of St. Louis, born and raised in St. Louis, attended Sumner High School.
She's so
proud.
My
goodness. Yes, you might know my husband. My husband is a Sumner alumnus as well.
So, we love our school.
Yes, you all do. Yes.
We will fight for it until the end.
Yes.
Yes. I wanted to take a step back for a minute to talk about, you talked about Mosaic Ceiling and all the colors of Mosaic Ceiling. The thought was with the ceiling piece of it, because we're often asked, well, what is the ceiling piece? So that is the part of the ceiling. We've always looked at it as a glass ceiling. We can't shadow the glass ceiling. So the ceiling is many different colors, and you as a woman of color, whatever color and culture you're from, you can break through that ceiling. I think we always allow people to put a barrier there to say you can only get to this place. Yeah. Create your own ceilings. You go around it, break through it yourself. And so the ceiling is many colors, because we say it's a glass ceiling, it's a concrete ceiling. No, it's a multicolor ceiling, and you can break through that ceiling if you want to.
And when
so you create your own ceiling.
When it breaks, it creates a whole nother set of shards, right?
Yes.
And those shards then become a whole nother mosaic.
Yes, absolutely.
I love it.
Oh, look
and
at
you just keep growing.
She's got the whole...
Yes.
Oh, my God.
We are bringing you with us.
That's right.
Okay, I'm good with that.
And you just keep growing because
my
it
gosh.
just you keep shattering.
So your background, Lorie, you grew up here in St. Louis. What's your career path? What's been your career path?
I've spent over 30 years in corporate America, so working as an HR professional in companies, DuPont, Mallinckrodt, Southwestern Bell
Just some
Telephones.
small little startup. Understood.
And I served early on. I was promoted to HR director at a large company and had a lot of responsibility, and there were not a lot of women at that level, director level, and so I learned a lot about myself.
And what about women of color?
No,
really?
Definitely not.
Yeah.
How old were you at that time?
I was 29.
Wow.
And so I was promoted to director level at a large company at 29, and was looking for mentors or someone to help me. I couldn't find it.
Sure.
I was given a mentor, but it was a Caucasian male. And he spent a lot of time telling me where my place was. And so I was like, okay, I don't need a mentor anymore. I'll figure this out myself. But I also have to say that I did have some male mentors that really helped me as a female and helped boost my career.
Sure.
And so it was a challenge over the years that I spent in HR. I saw a lot. I fought for women, silently fought for women. They didn't know I was behind the scenes. When I closed the door, I was fighting for women to continue to move up because I didn't want to be the only one in that role. So after so many years and working in corporate America, I decided to branch out on my own and do some consulting work. So I started a consulting business, which I still have now.
Okay.
It's HR consulting. And I spent a little time at Webster University. I taught in the master's program, so I taught HR management for about 5 years at Webster University. And later said, once I was done with corporate America, what can I do? I kept saying, somebody need to do this to help women. Somebody need to do that to help women.
And that somebody?
Whenever you say somebody, it's absolutely. And that's what I had to do, reflect that mirror on me and to say, what can I do? So I'm so passionate about it. And I'm so blessed and fortunate that Nicci and I have partnered together because this has been a journey that we couldn't even imagine.
So, Nicci, what is your background? Are you from St. Louis as well?
Yes, from St. Louis. This is home. I did get a chance to get out for a year. Went and walked the streets of New York to find myself and came back. But I brought some of that juice that they have up there with me. And so once I came back, I did about 7 years in radio. That's how Jade and I met.
She's got that radio voice.
Yes.
So
I'm trying to learn to get that.
So did some time and that's how Jade and I end up connecting, and it's just been amazing from that point. And so she and I connected and continued to do work in the community. But I also ended up getting an entry-level role at Webster University. No degree, just totally, I'm talking ground zero from my work experience. And so, but I was working in TV for a little bit, but did not have that degree. So I'm like, let me just go ahead and figure out how to do this since I wasted my parents' money the first time. I've got to figure this out. So I'm telling you, it's truly Heavenly Father said, find a job at a higher ed institution. So they paid for my undergrad.
Oh, that is
so talk
beautiful.
About strategy.
Yes.
Okay, it would have been great for
divine
grad,
intervention.
So I end up working there and thinking I'm going to hop out of there after I get my bachelor's degree because I'm now still doing radio. And I'm like, okay, so I get an offer to do a morning show, but they end up changing the format of the radio station the week before I'm to come.
Oh my gosh.
And so but I didn't give my 2 weeks at Webster University. So I applied for some other jobs, end up getting something else, working in the Office of Academic Affairs, coming out of the business office, and did that for 8 months. And they asked me to go and serve as a director, assistant director over a campus. So I ran an entire campus.
Wow.
Because on the first day, the director had to leave for personal matters. And so became the director, did that for about 5 or 6 years. And then I was made an offer to be the first inaugural Associate Vice President for Diversity and Inclusion, Senior Director for Community Engagement, and I did Special Assistant task for the president.
So see, I always tell people degrees do not guarantee
that's
jobs.
A whole nother show. It was because of the turbulence and the drama that was happening in my job that was going straight to our leadership that caused them to pull me behind the curtain. And I just knew I was getting terminated. But they said, we've been watching you and there's a level of emotional intelligence and there's a level of sophistication that we need at the table that you offer.
That's amazing.
You were I didn't even have the credentials.
But to be recognized, because not everyone pays attention, right?
Right.
And so it's also a sign in that rather than someone sitting you down and telling you what your place is, as a mentor,
correct? Right. And so
somebody saying, "I see something in you that you may not even see."
I have a place for you,
and I have a place for you. And I think there's another way for you to be your highest and best self. That's amazing. That's special.
Yeah, but like Lorie said, though, once you get there, there's this sense of isolation that you feel, and people wonder why women are not in leadership, and there's this revolving
why
door.
They don't stay, right?
A revolving door.
We recruited them.
Exactly.
We became diverse for 2.5 years, and then they left us. Well, that's because there's more to the story.
Right.
And hence our work.
Right.
This is why Mosaic Ceiling.
So how did you all get connected?
Well, I hear the Webster theme coming
Yes.
through, and I'm an alum.
Yeah.
So we've got
So I'm still teaching.
Yes.
I'm still teaching there.
And Christy taught. Are you still teaching?
I wasn't teaching at Webster, but I'm also, that's a whole nother story. Right. Schedules, entrepreneurial pursuits, et cetera, et cetera. But Webster has served us all very well, I think.
Yes.
So we ended up, no, you tell.
Oh gosh. Okay. The first time it was Nicci introduced the wedding party to my niece was married, and she introduced the wedding party.
I was like, how do we get to a wedding party?
Emceeing the wedding.
Yes, it
essentially.
was. How many years ago was that? Seven or eight.
Wow. Okay.
And so when Nicci was introducing the wedding party, I said, she is awesome. I don't know what it is about her, but we're going to work together someday.
That's a really good reminder to collect people, right?
Yep.
You never know where you'll find great people, so you got to collect them along the way.
Yeah, the mental image of, I got to know you. Right.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Wow.
And so then I was had an event at the History Museum, and it was the first event, and we had a panel discussion. And so I reached out to Nicci. I said, you have got to be the moderator for this panel discussion. And so she agreed, and I was like, thank you, Jesus, because I knew she would do an awesome job, and I had never done this with the History Museum. It was my first time doing this. And Nicci did such an amazing job, and we were talking back and forth about it afterwards, and Nicci had her business, and we decided to bring this together. But then, and
I asked him, like, are you just how about we just not stop working together, but just bring it together?
Yes.
And she's like, I'm going to slide out my chair. And I was like,
because I was praying on it and saying, please send me someone that's dynamic that can help me elevate Mosaic Ceiling, and that was Nicci.
And I was doing the work. I was doing some of this work already as well, and we didn't know that.
Yes.
Right. So there was truly a divine intervention that brought you together. That's amazing. So how long has your company been around?
A year. It's been a year and a couple months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
And it has been a fast.
So I'm sure you've got some stories to tell.
And we're going to talk about those in just a second.
Oh, yes.
CET, the Center for Emerging Technologies, is a proud founding sponsor of this Entrepreneurially Thinking podcast. We want you to know all about the great things they are up to. Square One offers 2 training options. Square One Ignite, a 4-week program created to help founders quick start their business model validation process. Or Square One Bootcamp, an in-depth 10-week, 50-hour program that combines formal instruction with hands-on learning, networking, and mentoring. To learn more about Square One Bootcamp or Square One Ignite, visit ETHINKSTL-091. And for your renewed and continuing support, CET, we say thank you.
Hi, it's Nicci Roach, and I am with Mosaic Ceiling. And entrepreneurially thinking, to me, means an individual, such as myself, thinking outside of the limits in which I can see myself contributing to this world to make it a better place. Not just once, but for years to come, even surpassing my days on earth.
So, Nicci, you talked about not wanting to stop working together, right? And you've also talked about the fact that you each sort of have your own portfolio of work that intersects in this space that is Mosaic Ceiling. So when we talk about you in the Mosaic Ceiling context, what is that work? What is it that you're creating and producing and envisioning for the people who you hope will be part of those programs and services?
So we have if you go on our website, there's our audience. So we have the career track, we have the college track, we have the high school track, and then there's a middle school. And we have found ourselves, it's just been a year and a couple months, moving quite fast.
Yes.
And we mentioned earlier the things that we're a part of, and Lorie has a consulting company. I also have one. And that helps what we do. But at the same time, we realize we have all these target audiences. We're doing some great work in a short amount of time. However, how can we step back and fall back just a little bit, and we're right in that season at this very exact moment to where we're learning the power of the pivot. And the power of the pivot, not abandoning the work that we've done, but scaling back, because we found that we were doing a whole bunch of good, but we were just touching on just barely the needs of what was going. But how do we create programming that's sustainable and that it has great impact? So now we're moving away from doing a lot of things good and doing a few things great.
I love that, because we often tell entrepreneurs they need to focus and really get narrow before they go big. And
we went big, and now we're narrow.
And lots of folks go to market, right, in the opposite strategy, and then find that they need to adopt that earlier advice and really retool it. So for Lorie, so what does that look like in terms? Does that mean fewer market segments, customer segments? Because that's a lot on your website. Like that's everything from me to folks, 20, 30 years younger than me, right?
Yes.
And probably people older than me. So how have you found that getting better at a few, being really great at a few things, what might that manifest as for you and Mosaic Ceiling moving forward?
Well, one of the things that I talk about, because anyone that knows me know that I'm really big on statistics and numbers, and I'm always looking at the numbers to see where we are as women, where we're really having those struggles.
So what are the needs, right?
And yes, absolutely. And one of the things I want to say, Nicci and I facilitated a workshop, Work Smart, Start Smart, which was how to negotiate your total compensation package, where we really dug down.
That is so critical, because most women do not do that.
Absolutely. And it was a phenomenal event, and you would really be surprised, me as still having my consulting business and talking to women and seeing that they're still really struggling with that. I'll just take whatever it is. I don't want to lose this opportunity.
Right.
And so we really have to get out there and do more of that and do more of those segments with women to help them understand how to get to that place. That's one of our key areas, wage gap and economic security, which is where we are falling short in both areas when you start to look at the numbers. So we were allowing, I think, others to kind of, where you talked about starting small and then graduating out, we allowed others to take us out, because every time someone pulled, we thought, this is great. We need to do this. We need to help.
There's so much opportunity, so much need.
Yes. And there is.
Right. Your new business, people are coming to you and saying, oh, we want you to do this,
and we're like,
this.
They want us.
Right.
Yes. They want us.
Validation.
Yes. But then at the same time, we killed ourselves.
Yeah.
So we're coming off a nice break.
Right.
Seriously.
Because you nearly dang died.
Yes.
Serious.
Right? Serving everybody, doing everything.
We had to press pause.
Yes.
I mean, and we're talking about a young, just birthed organization.
But what it tells you is that there are so many significant needs that women have. When you just bite off about salary discussions, that's just one piece of it, right?
Yeah.
And when you talk about, because I was looking at key areas that you guys focused on, not only entrepreneurship, but all the way to political participation, health and wellness. These are education attainment. These are big chunks.
Yes.
So are you still focusing on these 6 areas, or are you
doubling down on a smaller
Are you finding areas that you want to focus on?
Yeah. I think we will always focus on the 6 key areas. It's just a matter of how we are focusing on it. It's not just we're casting out a net. And we had started hosting a number of different programs, but then there's 1,000 programs you can go to. But what we notice is when we fall back and we allow the universe to kind of lead and guide us, what we found is that we did better, and we continue to do better by accepting invitations. So we get invited into organizations instead of hosting something all the time and wondering, how many people's going to be here? Can we get a venue?
Sure.
No, someone will call up from an organization, whether it's a professional organization.
So is that through your networks that you guys have developed those relationships? Okay.
And the trust and the receipts that we have, collectively and individually, to where we're able to take things in now, and it actually works. Is so much better for us and less stressful, because they come to us with a specific need for a group of women that they have within their organization or professional or corporation, and then we can bring that specific thing, just like the negotiation. And now that keeps popping up.
I was going to say, I think having a background in HR and probably having connections to different organizations through your academic connection, that provides that access, because most companies are actually doing the business development, trying to get those inroads. You all are
capitalizing on
yes,
that. Yeah.
Yes, which is key, which is really cool.
Yeah. Well, you've really reflected on, you're very cognizant of being in this moment of the pivot, right, as entrepreneurs. Yeah. And again, you've been entrepreneurial before Mosaic Ceiling. This is just one of the current manifestations of your entrepreneurship, right? What are you learning about yourselves as entrepreneurs in this setting that working independently maybe didn't come into focus until you started to partner together?
I'm looking at Nicci's face. She's like,
oh man, I didn't know we were going to go there.
No, we don't have time. Is that look?
I love it.
Well, just scratch the surface for us then.
I'll jump right in and just say one thing that I absolutely love, because I have been questioned by various individuals, like, man, like, why did you feel you needed a partner? Or, you already kind of doing blah, 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 blah.
Thing. Got your own brand.
You have no idea how much of a blessing it is to have someone to bounce ideas off. And because of our experiences and because we're on somewhat opposite ends of the work that we do, there's some things that I'll mention and I may be just quite ambitious and zealous about, and she's like, okay, let's reel it in.
It's a balance.
Lorie, you are. I see shadows here.
We've seen that, yes.
Right, and vice versa. And but then also that level of accountability, because how many times do we as entrepreneurs say what we're going to do, what we should have done, what we could have done, and, I'm going to get to.
Right.
Now, when we talk and we have some powwow, we quantify it. We make it make it measurable.
You got the data, woman, right here.
Oh my God. And me, I'm all about the relationship and I'm all about touching the hearts. Like, how do we get to the heart and make this matter? And she's like, and here's why you need to do it.
Right.
So we just,
that's that great balance.
Yeah.
It's the it and the whatever, the it and the
yin and the yang.
Yes.
There we go.
And I think sometimes when you just make the decision, well, I just want to do this on my own, then it sometimes can become just about you and not the people that you're really trying to serve or help.
That's a great point.
And I think for us, that's why I think this partnership is so critical and it's so awesome, because it's not about Nicci and Lorie. It's about the people that we're serving, the help in these 6 key areas.
So tell us, to give us some insight into people that you have helped or organizations that you've come in contact with, and what have been some of those outcomes.
Well, one thing I can just jump right in. So we do an annual Women of Color and Culture Power Summit. And so we hosted that, and we did it last year in record time. And because we were just merging, and I'm like, look, this is, we can make this our signature event. And so we planned this in like 40 days at the Four Seasons in St. Louis. Did no marketing.
Now I'm really pissed because I was not there.
Well, we have the second.
I'm already looking at her right now.
I will just remind you.
We have the second one coming up, and we made the talking about the power of the pivot. We made the decision to push it back to make sure we take it next level. And because of some partnerships that want to be on board with us, we said that's the best thing that we need to do. So there's plenty of time.
Okay.
We're looking for speakers.
And I just always remind you that, that whole social media thing that you only like to do in a very circumscribed kind of way is where I stay up to date on things like that.
And she's not sharing, so now we're going to have a back.
Now I got to be your social secretary as well. I don't have time for that.
So that's cool. So this summit we put together, it's an all-day event, and we charge a very minimum fee so that it could be accessible, because that's been the issue. I go to so many conferences, but had it not been for sponsorship, my company, or something I just really wanted to do, and I'm blessed to be financially able to participate, but you're talking $250 and up to attend something. We're talking about breakfast and lunch and breakout sessions and speakers, master classes, all that. And from our very first event, conference or Power Summit, women were in there with tears in their eyes.
Right, yes.
And what were the topics that you guys covered?
Oh my God.
Or will be covering.
We'll be covering. Yeah,
we selected the topics for this
summit.
Yeah.
Okay,
last year.
but last year
we had entrepreneurship. Well, we talked about authenticity. We talked about how to know when to transition from being in place into a position.
We had the generation differences. So we had all the 4 generations on the panel, and they talked about their experiences.
We had a VIP leadership panel that opened it up to talk about their journey and what it's like to be in that space. It was VPs and presidents.
Oh, nice.
We had Adrienne Bracey, who was the keynote
I love
to talk
Adrienne.
about being successful in a male-dominated industry.
And she was transparency, talked about transparency,
how
important that was. She was very good. It was very good.
We talked about executive presence and a personal branding.
Yes. Which is key.
Oh, really?
So it seems like you guys had a plethora of topics to cover.
But from this event, we had reports because we said we need to actually write some of this down. It's just been a whirlwind. Jobs. Individuals connected with people and got jobs. We have a number of people who've never served on nonprofit boards that are on boards. We have a number of individuals who are now doing business together because they met there at the conference. So and we're still hearing about all
That's
of this.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So you guys acted as connectors
and
supporters,
in the middle.
all of that, which is really great. So we can't wait to hear about this. Is it this year or next year?
It'll be 2019.
Okay.
We're pushing it back because then we run into the holidays. So we want to avoid that.
Awesome.
One thing that I have to say about the summit was, we had an organization that purchased the table for 10 of the ladies that's a part of their organization. And this touched my heart so much. I said, if I don't get anything else out of this summit, this was enough. There were the ladies that were at the summit, and they had come from backgrounds of abuse. Yes, father abuse. And things of that nature. So they did not have this happy life. And so they were so excited to be there. They said they never would have been at a hotel like this. They were so excited about and so they came out and they were with tears in their eyes and they were crying and they said, thank you for hosting this, because we would never have been in a room with this, had an opportunity to be in a room with this many powerful women. Now we realize we can do anything we want to do. The sky is the limit for us now, but we had to see this. They had to be there, and we need more women.
Examples of what's possible. We know that is incredibly important. It's a large part of why we do the show, right? Because we want to show that, even when your plate feels full, right? There are other room for other things to come in. Even when the path looks and feels successful by other people's standards, there might be other ways to fulfill those things that you want to do and be.
Have achieved what you're doing. You were working at one point, then you have your own consultancies, then you brought something else special together. So people
exciting.
People do entrepreneurship in so many different ways, and that's what we tell folks is, you don't have to go out and quit your day job right away. There's so many ways to work your model that you want.
So you all had mentioned that you're most successful when you're invited into organizations. So that would probably be the best way for folks to be able to experience Mosaic Ceiling firsthand is to invite you in to work with them. So how would they find out about you and get to know more about what to invite you in for and who you want to work with and all those wonderful things?
We have the special code. We look at each other.
Take it, Nicci. Take it away.
You can visit us on at mosaicceiling.org. That's the website, and you'll see all the information. You can find information about the organization, about where we are, different events we have coming up. And if you just want to get in contact with Lorie or myself, that information's out there. All the social media, we're on Mosaic Ceiling. Just leave it at that.
Okay.
We're actually working with someone to kind of manage that part of the job for us.
Yes, that's a big job by itself.
We have learned.
Yes.
And at this point, we surrender. We are not trying to learn it.
And I know Nicci's all over. I mean, I think I see you mostly on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
and I would imagine I could find Lorie there.
That's where I know you from, because yes, I am not on Facebook.
I know.
LinkedIn is my spot.
Okay.
Yes.
And Lorie's saying you can find her there too.
Yes,
so
I'm on LinkedIn. Yes.
These are the opportunities to really explore how to work with them, but also how to be inspired by them, even when you're not in the same room.
And I'm inspired even now. I'm like, wow, we've got to go check. When we have people on talking about food, Chrissy and I are like, we got to go check them out. Now we got to go check you guys out.
All sorts of reasons to check folks out.
All sorts of reasons. But yeah, we thank you guys so much.
It's been awesome.
Yes.
Really appreciate you coming out, and look forward to seeing what you're doing in 2019.
Yes.
Thank you.
Big things.
Yes.
Awesome. But few things, but big things.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Changing the way you view new ventures, igniting your thinking about entrepreneurship. It's Entrepreneurially Thinking. Get connected and discover more. Visit our website for show notes, resources, information about our guests, upcoming events, and of course, all your favorite episodes. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them for us in the comment sections, and be sure to leave us a 5-star rating on iTunes. The best way to show love is to share. Let everybody know that you're thinking entrepreneurially. So visit our website, entrepreneuriallythinking.com. #ETHINKSTL. Entrepreneurially Thinking is another positive production of Rare Gem Productions. Thanks for listening.